Hi there, this is Josh Beatler with the Guitar Player School. I'd like to thank you for watching this video. And in this video, you're going to learn about the 5 levels of fretboard visualization mastery. It's coming up next. Alright, so thanks so much for watching this video. The purpose of this video is to explain to you the different levels of fretboard visualization that most students and guitar players go through and where they often get stuck and what you can do about it. So, the reason why I'm making this video is because there's a lot of people that ask me questions about playing guitar solos. You know, playing guitar solos is something that drew me to the guitar, and I'm sure it drew you to the guitar when you first started as well. It doesn't matter if that was a Metallica solo or a Jimmy Page solo or an Yngwie solo, it doesn't matter. All of those players, to one degree or another, they use fretboard visualization to help them see their scales in the beginning. And if I can give you a path to follow and give you different markers along the way, you can know if you're making progress. And not only that, but if you were an experienced player, at least you can kind of rank yourself amongst these 5 and see what you're good at, what you're missing, and what you can do about it. I'm going to try and keep this under 5 minutes, so let's get started. The first things first, the first level of fretboard visualization is, it should be of no surprise, the 1. But what does that mean? It means whatever chord you're playing on or whatever key you're playing on, you need to know where that note is. So on my computer right now, I have a power chord being played. So what does that mean? Well, that means an A note would probably be a pretty good note to know on the guitar. But not just one A note, all of them. So the first level of fretboard visualization is being able to find all your notes. It means you gotta learn your freaking notes, man. You just gotta put it aside and get it done. You will become a better guitar player, no questions asked, if an A chord is playing and you know that there's an A, there's an A, there's an A, there's an A. So you gotta do your notes. Now, there's 3 main strategies for learning your notes. There's the 3-directional method, which basically means you can learn the notes as they go up the strings, you can learn the notes as they go across the frets, or you can learn all of where one note is, like I just did with the A. Those are 3 strategies. You can rotate between them. I've got separate videos on those. So you want to make that a daily practice. And the other benefit is that it helps your ear training. Okay, the second level is the chord tones. So what does that mean? Well, if you're playing over a chord progression, you need to know where the notes are for the chord as they go by, and then you actually need to see, you need to know where the 1 is of each chord, and then you need to see the chord tones. So for example, if this was an A minor chord being played, then I would want to first know where the A's are, but then I'd also want to see where the other notes of the chord are. Okay, if it's a major chord, then you want to know where the major chord notes are. All right, why do you want to know that? Well, because those are the best notes to land on in any chord. If it's a major chord, landing on the chord tones is going to sound perfectly good for the chord. And a lot of the catchiest melodies and nicest solos you've ever heard in your entire life are sometimes as simple as just an arpeggio. So don't get frustrated if in the beginning it just sounds like a chord, man. That's because you're just learning where it is on the guitar, you're trying to see it. It doesn't sound like music when you first get started. It takes a while to learn how to express yourself with these things. But the second level of fretboard visualization is seeing the chord tones, seeing the arpeggios. Now, you can take that a step further and really add in the 7th. So if you have a major chord, you want to know where the major 7th is or the flat 7th is. If you're playing over a dominant chord, with minor chords, you want to know where the minor 7th is. Again, here's your major 7ths. Yep. Dominant 7. Minor 7. You got to know where those chord tones are. Okay, third level, the pentatonic scale. Now this is where most people start. And this is a good thing that they start here because it sounds great right off the bat. I'll be the first to admit that sitting around and memorizing all your notes is not exactly exciting. Trying to learn all the arpeggios in the beginning can be a lot to handle. So going right for that great pentatonic blues scale, most people start right here. The problem is that they get stuck here and they never really know what they're doing. They never really link any of the notes in here to the chords or the one, so they just feel like they're going up and down a scale. So the reason why you feel like you're going up and down a scale here is because you don't know these two. You don't know them well enough anyway. Some people have a good enough ear and they gravitate towards these notes without knowing it, and that's a benefit of having a great ear. So if you don't work on your ear, you're also running the risk of just going up and down scales, but pentatonic scale is great. Here's the basic principle. If it's a minor chord, you can play a minor pentatonic on it. If it's a major chord, you can play a major pentatonic on it. Okay, that is level 3, is the pentatonic scale. And again, that's where a lot of people start because a lot of blues and rock is based off of it. So it's a lot of fun. It's easy to get going. But if you find that you're missing or you're going up and down scales, you're not just connecting your patterns right, you're not really making music, you might want to invest more time into these two so you can see things a little bit more clearly. Because inside the pentatonic scales is chord tones and the one of the chord you're playing on. Okay, the next level then is the mode that you're playing in. Now what does that mean? Well, a pentatonic scale is a 5-note scale. The modes are 7-note scales, so you'll see pentatonic scales closely in position with the modal shapes. So all we're doing is we're taking a pentatonic scale and we're adding 2 additional notes to it to get the modes. Now, there are, in traditional music, when you're first getting started, there's the 7 modes of the major scale. You got Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, Aeolian, and Locrian. We're going to throw out Locrian for now because it's diminished and you hardly ever solo on it. It's just not really a good sound to play. But we're going to keep it with the first 6. Okay, the first 3, the modes 1, 4, and 5, which is Ionian, Lydian, and Mixolydian, those are modes that are played over major chords. So those sound like this. Lydian. Ionian. And Mixolydian. Okay, and then the 3 minor modes, which is Dorian, Aeolian, and then Phrygian. Okay, so what we're doing there is we're taking the scales, the pentatonic scales, and we're just adding in 2 additional notes to all of them. So with the major pentatonic scale, you add either a different 4th note or a 7th note to it to create the major modes. And with the minor pentatonic scale, you add a 2 or a 6 to it and you get the minor modes. All right, the last step is every other note, and I should say also every other scale. So when you've gotten through these first 4 and you know them really well, you know how they work, you know the theory behind it, you know the fretboard visualization, it is so much easier than to go learn in all these exotic scales. Okay, so if you want to learn Mixolydian flat 6, if you want to learn Lydian augmented, if you want to learn diminished scales, if you want to learn symmetrical whole tone, if you want to learn half whole diminished and whole half diminished, it's a lot easier to visualize those when you have the templates of the first 4 built in place. That's what I did, and it made this 5th step so much easier. So it's really like this is your last step, because if you're getting to this point, this means you're comfortable soloing in almost any situation as long as the chords aren't too out there, too jazzy, polytonal, really altered scales. You can get a lot out of just the first 4 levels. Okay, so let's recap. Learn your notes if you don't know it already. Learn your arpeggios if you don't know them already. It will help you play to the changes and play more melodically. Number 3, try and switch your major and minor pentatonic scales with the chord. So if the chord progression goes A minor, D minor, F major, then you could do an A minor pentatonic on the A, D minor pentatonic on the D, and F major pentatonic on the F. The cool thing is that D minor and F major are the same exact scale pentatonic-wise. Okay, then when you know your pentatonic scales, you work on your modes, you work on adding in the missing notes to those into your fretboard visualization, and then after that, you're able to add in a lot of the other scales. Now, I went through a lot of this today. In future videos, we'll talk about, well, I like to talk about this thing with my students called the 3-dimensional scale training. 3-dimensional training just talks about when you're trying to learn your fretboard, you're trying to learn things, you need to see it in 3 directions. horizontally, vertically, and diagonally. And we'll talk about that in future videos and also courses that I have, etc. So anyway, this is Josh Beatler with the Guitar Player School. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave a comment and like below and share it. You're going to get a lot out of this. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it gave you some food for thought where you are in your playing, and practice. Make it happen. You got this.